Okay, let's begin by going up to the menu at the top of the screen. I'm going to click where it says File, and then I'm going to go down to Open Scene, and I'm just going to click once with my left mouse button. Now, right now, my project folder is already set. If you do not have this list of exercise files on your screen right now, go ahead and raise your hand and ask for help from the instructor. I'm going to click on channelbox1.ma, and then I'm going to click on this button right here to open the file. So what I've done is I've created an exercise file to demonstrate how to use the channel box. And what the channel box does is it allows us to make precise movements within our 3D space in Maya. So before we jump into this exercise, I just want to point out two interface items in Maya. The first is this large window that we're looking at that has all these items in it. This is called a panel. Okay. Down here at the bottom it says Pers, that stands for perspective. So this is our perspective panel. Over here what we have is our channel box, and this is what we're going to be using in this lesson. If your channel box is not displaying, what you can do is you can go up here to the very top right hand corner and you can click on this button and it will hide or show your channel box. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have in our panel. What I've done is I've created 4 small spheres that we're going to move using the channel box. We're going to move these spheres into these targets. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this red sphere. And once it's selected, it's going to turn green. Okay, so we have these green lines highlighting over the red sphere. So if I look over here in the channel box, I can see that in the channel box, the name of the object is displaying at the top. If I click on the green sphere, you can see the name is changing. I've labeled all of these objects based on their color. Okay. The other thing we can look at is I want to make sure you go back to the red sphere, so make sure that's selected. If you go over here, you can see it says Translate X, Translate Y, and Translate Z. And under Translate X, there's a value of 1. What this means is that our red sphere is 1 unit away from the origin. The origin on our grid here is where these 2 black lines are crossing each other. Okay, so the origin is 0, and as we move out from that origin, each of these gray lines represents 1 unit. And we can see over here in the channel box, I have a Translate X value of 1, and we're going in the positive direction. You can see the label right here for going positive, so we want to make sure that value is set to positive 1, not negative 1. If I change this number to 2 and then press return on the keyboard, or if you're on a PC, press enter, you can see now our object is 2 units away from the origin. So I'm going to type in the correct number in order to get this small sphere into the large sphere. So I'm going to type in 5 and then press return. Okay, so now we've moved that red object into its target. So let's go to the green sphere right here. Now we need to move along the z-axis. And I've labeled the axis here so you can see that we're going to have to go along the z-axis, and we're going to have to use a negative number to go back. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to go to Translate Z right here in the channel box, and I'm going to type in a number. I'll say -3 and then press return. You see the sphere is moving in the direction of the target because I'm typing in this negative number right here. If I type in just 3 without the negative symbol, you can see it's going to go in the positive direction. So right here on Translate Z, I'm going to type in -4 and then press return. You can see now I have this green sphere inside its target. So here we are back on the x-axis, and I'm going to go back to my Translate X channel right here, and I can see that I have a negative number displaying here. I'm 1 unit away from the origin, and I'm going along -x. So I'm going to change this to -3 and then press return. And now we've moved that into the target. So I'm now going to select the purple sphere. And I can look over here, it says Translate Z, the value for Translate Z is 1. So if I type in 2, I can see I'm moving along the z-axis in a positive direction. I'm going to change this value to 4 and then press return. So now we've completed the first part of the exercise. So now what I want you to do is I want you to turn off the visibility on all of these objects. In order to do that, we're going to go down here to the channel box. Down towards the bottom, we have a layer editor. So what I can do is, whenever there is a V showing up in the box on the left-hand side of a layer, you can click on that, and that will turn the visibility on and off for the objects that have been placed on that particular layer. So I'm going to click on the V for the Objects 1 layer, and I'm going to click on the V for the Targets 1 layer. So now there are no objects displaying in our perspective panel. Now I want to turn on the visibility on Objects 2 and Targets 2. So I'm going to go to the empty box on the left-hand side, click, and there's our V showing the visibility for those objects. And I'll click right here, and another V will pop up. And so now I have new targets. So what I'd like you to do for the rest of the exercise is I want you to move each of these spheres into the corresponding larger sphere of the same color using the channel box. After you've moved all 4 of these objects, then we'll go on to the second part of the exercise. Okay, so for the red sphere, you should have a translate x value of 4. For the green sphere, you should have a translate z value of -6. And for the blue sphere, you should have a translate x value of -7. For the purple sphere, you should have a translate z value of +5. All right, let's go on to the next part of this exercise. So I'm going to go to File, and then I'll go to Open Scene. Okay, so I'm going to click on channelbox2.ma. I'll hit Open. I don't need to save this, so I'm going to hit Don't Save. All right, so what I have here is I have a similar exercise, except for we're not just moving along X or moving along Z only. We're also going to move up along the Y-axis. So what we'll do is, in order to keep track of where we're going, we're going to just type in one value on the channel box at a time. So starting with this red sphere right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count from the origin. So we're at 1. So we're moving along the x-axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to type in a translate x value of 4 and then press return. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to travel along a different axis. So I'm going to go up along the y-axis. We can see the y-axis is labeled as going up from the grid. So I'm going to take my translate y value right here, and I'm going to count the number of arrows, 1, 2. So I'll take translate y here, I'll type in the number 2, that's positive, and press return. So now I need to travel along the z-axis. Okay, so I can see that going in this direction from the origin, we're going in positive z, but the arrows are pointing in the opposite direction. So that means I'm going to have to type in a negative value. So I'm going to go to translate z, and I'm going to type in -2, and now I'm in the target. Okay, I counted the number of arrows. There's 2 arrows there. Typed in a -2, and we're in the target. All right, so let's go to the green sphere. I'm going to need to travel along the z-axis first, so I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. So I'll type in a translate z value of -3 because we're going in the opposite direction of our positive z value right here. And then we need to go up along the y-axis, and there's only 1 arrow there, so I'm going to take translate y, and I'll press 1 and press return. All right, so for the rest of this exercise, I'd like you to do the purple and the blue spheres, bring those into their targets, but I want you to do that on your own. After you've finished the purple and blue targets, then you are all done with this exercise.